if x is epsilon close to y, for every epsilon greater than 0, then x must be equal to y. This converse is less obvious than the direct one, than this one. And in the context of all these things, you should never forget that epsilon is a rational number, because that's all we have right now. We don't yet know about real numbers. Part B. Let epsilon be a positive rational number if x is epsilon close to y, then y is epsilon close to x. So it's somewhat like symmetry of an equivalence relation. Part C. Let epsilon and delta be both positive. When you see things like this, you have to understand that the condition of positivity is imposed on both the rational numbers. It actually means epsilon is greater than 0 and delta is greater than 0. In short, that is written like this. If x is epsilon close to y and y is, not epsilon, this is delta close to z, then don't get confused by seeing delta close. It is not something different from epsilon closeness. In the definition of epsilon closeness, epsilon is any rational number. Okay, so in its place delta also can be chosen. Then x is epsilon plus delta close to z. It's somewhat like transitivity. Then part D. Let epsilon and delta be two positive rational numbers if x and y are epsilon close and z and w are delta close. Then x plus z and y plus w are epsilon plus delta close, and x minus z and y minus w are also epsilon plus delta close. Then part E. Let epsilon be a positive rational number if x and y are epsilon close, then they are also epsilon prime close for every rational number epsilon prime greater than epsilon. This is almost immediate. Part F, let epsilon be positive if y and z are both epsilon close to x and w is between y and z. That is, W satisfies these inequalities or these inequalities. Then W is also epsilon close to x. This is slightly difficult to substantiate. This part F. Part G, let epsilon be positive if x and y are epsilon close and z and z is non-zero. Then xz and yz are epsilon times absolute value of z close. And finally, the most complicated one, let epsilon and delta be positive. If x and y are epsilon close and z and w are delta close, then xz and yw are epsilon times mod z plus delta times mod x plus epsilon delta close. Okay, now the proof. In the text, only part H has been proved. The others are left as exercise. So we also do that. We only prove part H. Parts A through G are left to the second exercise. Okay, so we start by considering two positive rational numbers. Let x and y be epsilon close and z and w be delta close. So what we are going to do, we are going to define the difference between x and y. We need x, z and y, w. Okay, so the difference means y minus x and w minus z or x minus y. Let us take y minus x. Let us denote the difference y minus x by the symbol a, which is after all a rational number, and w minus z by b. Then x is y is equal to a plus x, w equal to b plus z. Also, it is given that x and y are epsilon close, so the absolute value of y minus x, actually x minus y, but absolute value of x minus y is equal to absolute value of minus y minus x, and we have seen in the properties of absolute value that the absolute value of a rational number and its negative are the same. I mean, not these two, they are the same. The negative of y minus x and y minus x are the same. So in the definition of distance, whether we really take x minus y or y minus x, it does not matter. And in fact, this also follows from symmetry of distance, that part of the proposition. So that's why absolute value of a is less than or equal to epsilon, and absolute value of b is less than or equal to delta, because w and z are delta close. Now we multiply y and w. If we do that, we will get a plus x times b plus z. We multiply the terms out, ab plus az plus xb plus xz. Hence, yw minus xz from this equation, that is equal to, let us write the z term first. Okay, az plus bx plus ab. Now using triangle inequality of absolute value 2 times, this is less than or equal to this. Then using multiplicativity of absolute value, this is equal to this one is equal to this, and this one is equal to this, where this is multiplication. Okay, now we use these inequalities, and the fact that an inequality between two rational numbers can be multiplied on both sides by a positive rational number and in fact a non-negative rational number. So on both sides of this inequality we can multiply by mod z, which according to non-degeneracy of absolute value is greater than or equal to 0. So this will be less than or equal to epsilon times mod z. Similarly, this will be less than or equal to, since this is less than or equal to delta times mod x, and these two are respectively less than or equal to epsilon and delta. So the difference between yw and xz has absolute value less than or equal to this. Hence, yw and xz are this close. We don't really know the distance between yw and xz, but whatever the distance is, it is less than or equal to this positive rational number. And note one more thing carefully. It has to be positive for us to be able to say that these two rational numbers are this close, because epsilon closeness has been defined only when epsilon is positive. Is it positive? You see, this is non-negative, z may be 0. If z is 0, then this term is 0. X also may be 0. However, these terms are never negative, they are non-negative, and so this whole sum is greater than or equal to epsilon delta, which is positive. So this is always positive. So we can say that this is epsilon, these two things are epsilon close, and this should I say completes the proof. Actually it does not complete, we have to do the other things also, but that they will be done in the exercises. Okay, so these are properties of epsilon closeness. Now there is a remark. This is remark 438. One should compare statements in parts A, B and C in this proposition with reflexivity symmetry and transitivity of equality, because ordinary equality is reflexive symmetry and transitive, it's an equivalence relation. It is often useful to think of the notion epsilon close as an appropriate substitution for equality for that is the notion of equality in analysis. Since in analysis we are primarily, although we haven't got to the things in analysis, we are primarily interested in infinite processes like limits, differentiation, integration. Now since infinity cannot be captured with the equal sign in ordinary mathematics, so we need inequality. So that's why ordinary equality is is made more relaxed, and we can define a sort of loose notion of equality using epsilon closeness. We say that 2 points are considered to be equal if they are epsilon close for some particular epsilon. They are actually not equal, but they are approximately equal, and the notion of two things being approximately equal and the possibility of using one of them in place of the other without affecting our job too much is the essence of analysis, and it is the essence of application of mathematics in science also, because when you apply mathematics in science, everything is an approximation. Technically speaking, approximations are really wrong. Okay, it's not the exact thing that you seek, but for your purpose an approximation works well, and you can reduce the error by doing some things. In fact, we will see when we study limits and other processes like differentiation, integration, we will see that this is the thing. A limit can be taken when there is a possibility of approximating something exact with things which we already know but which will never attain that exact thing. However, limit guarantees us that the error can be made as small as possible. Okay, so that way we can think of analysis. So it's a loose notion of equality. Okay, now next, so these are all the things about absolute value exponentiation, not exponentiation, distance and epsilon closeness. Now we go to the definition of exponentiation. We are now going to define x to the power n, where x is a rational number and n is a natural number. That we first of all will define, and then we will allow n to not only be a natural number, but we will allow n to be any integer. Okay, so in 2 stages we are going to define exponentiation. So this is definition 439. Exponentiation to a natural number. That means the exponent will be a natural number, base will be a rational number. Let x be a rational number. We define the power x to the power 0 to mean the rational number 1. Okay, always, whatever x may be, this is defined to be equal to 1. And again I am saying, note that x itself can be 0. So for us 0 to the power 0 is defined to be equal to 1. Also, x to the power n plus 1 is defined to be equal to x to the power n times x for any natural number n. So by the principle of recursive definition, this defines x to the power n for every natural number n. This is the basis for our definition, and this is the recursive part, inductive part. Okay. Now based on this definition, there are some familiar properties or rules of exponent which we use always. Whenever we encounter powers, we always use rules of exponent, and they are this. This is proposition 4.3.10. Properties of exponentiation. One we are saying because we will state and prove another one where the exponents will be allowed to be any integer, not just rational, not just natural numbers. So it goes like this: let x and y be rational numbers and n and m be natural numbers. Okay, it has parts. We have x to the power n times x to the power m is equal to x to the power n plus n, that familiar one. Another one is this is equal to x to the power nm, and because multiplication of rational numbers is commutative, so we have further this one also. xy to the power n is equal to x to the power n times y to the power n. Okay. Then in part B, we have x to the power n equal to 0 if and only if x is 0. That is, a power can be 0 where the exponent is a natural number if and only if the base is 0. Part C, this involves inequality. If x is greater than or equal to y and y is non-negative, and as such x is also non-negative, then x to the power n is greater than or equal to y to the power n, and that is also non-negative. If there is a strict inequality, x is greater than y and y is non-negative, then x to the power n is also strictly greater than y to the power n, which is non-negative. And if n is greater, okay. There is one extra condition, forgot about that. Not only this, and n is greater than 0. Note carefully that n being a natural number can be equal to 0 also. So if n is equal to 0, then both x to the power n and y to the power n are equal to 1, in which case they are equal. So for strict inequality, we need n to be a positive natural number. Then this. And finally part D, the absolute value of x to the power n is the nth power of the absolute value. We will have to prove all these things, but we will do them in the exercises. Once we prove them, we will then know that what we have been using all the time, the familiar laws of exponent, rules of exponent and laws of power, they are really true. So this one, its proof is the third exercise. Okay. Now next we define exponentiation where the exponent is a negative integer. So this is definition 4.3.11. Exponentiation to a negative number. When negative number appears, we have to be a little careful. We don't define a power where the base is 0 and exponent is a negative number. Because of the way we define this thing, it will become clear. Let x be, now x is no longer any rational number, but x now has to be a non-zero rational number. Let x be a non-zero rational number for any positive natural number n we define x to the power minus n. If n is a positive natural number, that means it's a positive integer. So minus n will be a negative integer, and this by definition is equal to 1 divided by x to the power n. Okay, now some things about this definition. The first thing is that you can see here x to the power n is 0 if and only if x is equal to 0. So because here we have chosen x to be non-zero, so x to the power n is non-zero. So its reciprocal exists. It makes sense. We have its reciprocal. One more thing is that according to the previous definition, we already have the meaning of x to the power n, because x is a rational number and n is a natural number, in fact a positive natural number. So we know that this is going to be a rational number again, and which is non-zero, so its reciprocal exists. So this definition makes sense. For instance, x to the power minus 3 is this, which is equal to, you apply the definition of x to the power 3, you get x times x times x. Okay, now we are going to state a proposition similar to this one, but the difference is that the exponents are no longer natural numbers. They may be negative integers also. In fact, they are in general integers. So we state it like this. And because they are integers, they are more general. So proposition 4310 becomes a part of proposition 4312. That is, this new one supersedes the previous one. It makes the previous one only a part of it. And this one is properties of exponentiation 2. Let, but now because any integer exponent is allowed, so the bases are carefully chosen to be non-zero. Let x and y be non-zero rational numbers and let n and m be integers, any integers. Okay, this one also has parts.